Phoenix Rising FC return home to the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex after a grueling 4-game road trip in which saw 9 points for Patrice Carteron's club, including punching their ticket to the 2017 postseason. They'll be taking on David Vaudreuil and the Tulsa Roughnecks in a big Western Conference clash. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us here on Your View. Tyler Terrence along with George D. Metellus, and George will jump right into it. Obviously, Phoenix have already punched their ticket. Tulsa, with 3 points tonight, can do the same.
Yeah, it's very important for Tulsa to get this road victory here, as they need those 3 points, possibly move over Sacramento. Sacramento taking on Orange County. If Sacramento win or draw, then it helps the cause a little bit of Tulsa. So we'll see what happens. But Tulsa, 3 points on the road, always beneficial, especially when you're trying to lock down a playoff spot.
And Phoenix Rising perhaps chasing San Antonio FC for a possible home spot, but they're going to have to deal with Joey Calistri, who has been magnificent for Tulsa this season so far.
Yeah, he's going to play out wide. We'll get to the lineups in a second, but second on the team in goals, second on the team in assists. Very underrated player in the USL. Hugely important for the Roughnecks of Tulsa.
9 goals and 3 assists, the Chicago Fire homegrown product. And on the other side for Phoenix Rising, the return of the king. The first start for Didier Drogba since August 5th. 1 appearance since then, but he returns to the starting 11 tonight.
Yes, the Cote d'Ivoire legend, Chelsea legend. He's 39 years old, so they really don't need him in the regular season. Rest his legs. He probably doesn't have 90 minutes in his legs consistently every week in, week out as he used to. But you can get him those 70, 80 minutes in the playoffs, save the regular season, get those minutes in the playoffs. That'll work out well.
Absolutely. First start in a couple of months for the legend Didier Drogba. And for David Vaudreuil and Tulsa, business as usual, although a couple of changes and interesting changes at that, was such a big game and so much on the line. Ian Svantesson not getting a start up top. He's their leading goal scorer with 11. He's going to have to come off the bench tonight.
Yeah, that's very interesting that they didn't put their leading goal scorer when they need a victory to secure a playoff spot. So it's up to Christian Tierjung to make that move and score the goals that will help them get the 3 points on the road. Also in the back, they've made some changes. Corrales shifting from right to left, and they, as in comparison to the San Antonio game, they lost 2-0. And then Ugarte and Kimura making up that right side of the defense.
And then for Patrice Carteron, business as usual in terms of the 4-2-3-1. Blair Gavin steps in for Kevon Lambert. He's day-to-day with a little bit of a knee injury. Nothing too serious after talking with Patrice Carteron. Drogba sending him behind Jason Johnson.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this formation morphs over the course of the game. Maybe it'll move to a 4-3-3 with Drogba in the middle, Jason out wide to the left, and Sean Wright Phillips to the right, and then Amadou Dia, Watson, and Gavin sliding into that midfield 3. We'll see how it changes as the match progresses.
Jason Johnson coming off a terrific Cascadia road trip as he scored a bag of goals. Wright Phillips and Amadou Dia looking to provide the width for Phoenix, who are continuing their meteoric rise up the Western Conference standings. Tulsa looking to punch their postseason ticket. It's all coming your way next here on Your View.
At Pruitt's, savings and style live comfortably together. And right now, the selection has never been better. Just look at this 3-piece Sonoma Chaise sectional, only $599. And this urban casual 4-piece, just $499. Visit Pruitt's for the lowest prices and best selection. Alma School and Ray or Thomas Road and 34th Street. Pruitt's, proudly serving the Valley for 65 years.
Phoenix Rising FC is pushing towards the playoffs with more goals, more wins, and more clean sheet shutouts than ever before in club history. Don't miss the final matches of this historic season. So, get your tickets now before they sell out. Saturday, October 7th, against Rio Grande Valley FC. Youth soccer players will receive a free Drogba poster. Phoenix Rising FC, our team is rising to the playoffs.
It's all about the food. You really need to have a passion for what you do and a passion for food. The Big Kahuna. It's 12 ounces of ground beef, topped with some cheddar cheese, lettuce, tomato, homemade pickle. I mean, it's just a huge meal. I believe in a scratch kitchen because I'm passionate about the food that we serve our guests, and I love seeing people enjoy the food that we create.
Flags at half-staff here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex in remembrance of those who were affected by the Las Vegas shooting. Our condolences, thoughts, and prayers. But for now, we're going to head down to Jose Bosch, who's got pregame. Jose?
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Phoenix Rising FC as they're about to take on Tulsa Roughnecks FC. And the team is back home after a very long road trip. And it's a very different team than before the road trip began. That team was trying to get to the playoffs. This team is preparing for the playoffs. Coach Carterone talked earlier today about how he's going to spend the last 3 home matches tweaking the lineups a little bit and making sure that the team is going full stride going into the postseason. And one of those tweaks is Didier Drogba. He's back in the lineup for the first time since the team played in LA in August. That game was important because it started their 11-match unbeaten streak. Hopefully tonight he can help start another unbeaten streak. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Jose. And with that, we will look at the current playoff picture. Obviously, George, Phoenix Rising already have clinched their spot with a win over Portland. Wright, Phillips, and Johnson, the scorers on that occasion. But for Tulsa, they're looking for their first ever playoff berth. And what's been an up and down season for them. A lot of people might not think that they deserve to be in the playoffs, but here they are with an opportunity with 3 points tonight to clinch that spot. And
it certainly is a contrast from the previous seasons in which Tulsa was at the bottom of the Western Conference, eliminated from playoff contention, usually 2 or 3 months before the end of the regular season. So they have progressed fabulously over the course of the last year or so, last 2 seasons. So if they can get this victory, it'll be huge for them in complete a turnaround that has taken a couple of seasons.
And you did see there, if the results around the Western Conference, mainly that Sacramento game, do go their way, just in terms of Orange County not getting a win, and Tulsa were to get a tie tonight, that's another way that they would be able to find themselves in the postseason. Although this is a Tulsa team that has been struggling as of late, just 1-5-2 in their last 8 matches. However, they have run across some tough opponents, but then there's also been some games that raise a lot of question marks. A 2-0 loss to San Antonio, that's nothing that anybody's going to bat an eyelash at, but a 3-1 loss against Vancouver, a 1-1 draw against Portland, and a 1-0 loss against Seattle Sounders. You know, that's a road trip that Phoenix just took, and they did magnificently on the road at the Cascadia road trip.
Yeah, it's for Tulsa, maybe because of that stretch, they're a little fortunate to still be in the chase for the playoffs. But the good teams find a way to overcome those poor runs of form and turn it on at the right time. And at the end of the regular season is the right time for them to turn it on. And if they can do what Sacramento did last week, which is beat Phoenix to end that 11-game unbeaten run, that will put themselves in the playoffs. So if they can get a victory here, all the bad run of form leading up to it that you mentioned will certainly be in the past, and then they can focus on the playoffs. And as we all know, playoffs, anything can happen. It's basically a new season.
And of course, all eyes are going to be on that man tonight, Didier Drogba, making his first start in 2 months. He did have a brief appearance against the Real Monarchs. Interesting situation, though, for Didier Drogba. He is on yellow card caution, so 1 more yellow card, and he would have to miss the next game, which is going to be against RGV. And it's going to be a bit of a strange night because he is probably going to want to get that yellow card so he doesn't get it for the last game of the season, so that he can be in form and maybe not have that carry over to the playoffs. But regardless, such a great night for Drogba to return to the starting lineup, and hopefully no injuries, and everything that he took care of over in London back with Chelsea, everything is in order. As we are underway from Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, Tyler Terrence, along with the infamous George D. Metellus, glad to have you with us here on Your View, as it is certainly a big night for Tulsa, as they are looking to clinch their first ever postseason berth. A couple of less than stellar finishes in the Western Conference, and right off the bat, Tulsa looking to make something happen on the offensive end.
You said infamous. I will neither confirm or deny those numbers.
In most cases, you're confirming.
My car registration is up to date, if that's the situation.
Good movement already from Phoenix. Wright Phillips up the field for Jason Johnson. He's bothered at the back by Joaquin Rivas. And we'll go all the way back to Fabian Cerda, 28-year-old keeper from Chile in his first season with Tulsa. Again, this is a Roughnecks side that has really struggled in their last 8 matches, just 1-5-2, only 4 goals in their last 8 matches, and they are missing their leading goal scorer, Ian Svantessen, up top tonight.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see who will be the player that finishes the chances. Will it be Christian Tier-Young? Will it be Kafa, who is in that number 10 role as the captain for Tulsa? A lot of questions will be answered by the end of this match, and the formation certainly rising or causing a lot of questions. So a lot of intrigue, good storylines as this match progresses.
And of course the storyline for Phoenix returning home after a 4-match road trip in which they really did perform extremely well. Drogba with a fantastic ball out wide for Didier. He's looking to take the Tulsa back line on himself. Still Didier. Makes the defender fall a little bit and ends up winning a corner.
In the game against Sacramento, Amadou Didier was the left back. Now he's at a more advanced, more attacking position as the left wing. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. And you can see Didier Drogba playing in behind Jason Johnson. Not as much running necessary. He can be the playmaker. And when you have Phillips and Didier with pace out wide, Jason Johnson up top, who's the team's leading goal scorer, also with pace, it allows Didier Drogba to conserve some energy and be a playmaker. So that could work out well for Phoenix.
Right, Phillips, who had the game-winning goal against Portland Timbers 2, in which the Phoenix Rising FC clinched their postseason. Right, Phillips on top of the corner. Not a bad ball in. Drogba's there, but couldn't get the header right. But early on, a good chance for Didier. And just trying to find his feet and get back into the swing of things. First start for him since August 5th, and that, of course, was the match against Los Angeles Galaxy 2, in which he scored probably what is going to be the United Soccer League goal of the year.
Yeah, he is an all-time legend. 39, still getting it done, still in fabulous shape. And if he performs well, obviously in the playoffs, Phoenix could win it all. It's a certain situation that obviously we will be keeping an eye on, but Didier Drogba is a special talent and still getting it done at almost 40 years old.
Even more so, not only Didier Drogba and what his impact and his arrival to the team has been, but the arrival of Patrice Carteron as well, as this ball is sent ahead. It's not a bad ball. Tyr-Young is there and ends up getting a lot of Josh Cohen on that. Referee saying that it was a fair play on the ball, but it looked like Cohen took a shot there. Christian Tyr-Young in hot pursuit of this pretty good ball from Ugarte.
And over the top, getting around Peter Ramage, Rambo as they call him. And Peter Ramage has to be careful there. He has to pay attention. Tyr-Young is the only striker up top, so that should not happen, that he gets in behind the defense like that.
Drogba gets ahead to it. Dia applying pressure. Johnson touching it along for Dia. Dia into the box, hoping for Wright Phillips. Corrales is there first and then nodded away by Kamara. Wright Phillips once more. And a referee for tonight's match, Malik Badawi.
And some positive movement by Phoenix, especially down the left side. Dia, Johnson, Drogba, that triangle, if you will. Those three players look to have a good cohesion so far in this match down that left side.
Drogba just muscling off the defender. Johnson gets tangled up as well as Drogba. There's a foul called on one of them. And immediately Drogba making his presence felt on the pitch. He just does such a good job of holding up the ball in tight quarters. I mean, he's been doing this for years, but even at 39 years of age, he's able to do it at this high of a level still and able to win Phoenix a free kick.
And is dropping into that number 10 spot and has done very well holding up the ball. Remember, he's a big body too, so it's difficult to dispossess him. He knows and understands how to position his body to win the ball, maintain possession, and then obviously set up his teammates. So Didier Drogba, I was a little surprised to see him in the lineup in that number 10 role behind Jason Johnson, but naturally, because of his skills and experience, he can transition into that position very easily.
Drogba going for goal right off the bat, over the crossbar, but that is certainly within his range, and it just might take a free kick or two for him to sort of calibrate, as we'll take another look at that one.
Yeah, just missed it high.
Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, Sirius XM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and times. And back to Patrice Carteron, George. You know, he stepped in for Frank Yallop, who stepped away from the team, wanted to be closer to his family in Fresno. He's actually going to take over for Fresno, who are joining the United Soccer League next season. But Patrice came in, as there's an early shot there from Matt Watson. It did take a deflection, so it'll be a Phoenix corner, but he's come in and sort of implemented Patrice's style, and it seems to be a style that works with Phoenix. They've figured out this 4-2-3-1, which seems to be the formation that fits them the best, and they've made the most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and one way you can tell has been the defensive record. In that 11-game unbeaten run, they only conceded 4 goals, so you play defense that well in this league, you are going to get into the playoffs and be a threat. So it's worked out very well for Patrice Calderon.
White Phillips, a good ball in. Tulsa get there first.
It's just all about organization and then being able to convert that message to the players.
Great ball through. Wright Phillips trying to get there, stops it on a dime. Needs to come back and get it. Does extremely well. Along for Didier. It will be a goal kick, but early on, Phoenix showing a lot of flair, a lot of creativity, which is great sign for Patrice Carteron's side.
Yeah, and we're seeing everything coming down that left side of the attack, the right side of the Tulsa defense. So Kosuke Kimura having some problems out there out wide on the right side of the Tulsa defense. Between Didier, Johnson, Drogba, you see Sean Wright Phillips floating over there when the space was available. Phoenix looking very strong down the left side. Tulsa's going to have to tighten up the right side of their defense here early on.
Back to your point about being organized in defense, this is a Phoenix team who has so much firepower offensively. You would figure they'd be a team that loves to have the ball at their feet and dominate possession, but it's quite the contrary as Tyr is played in. Dangerous here for Tulsa. Square back across, hoping for Rivas. It looked like it took a touch off of Tulsa, and it will be a goal kick for Phoenix.
Yep, there goes that Phoenix defense right there. Was Tyr in the area alongside Joaquin Rivas, and 4 players dropping back, getting enough bodies there, cutting out the space, cutting out that pass at the right time, and they will be able to regain possession. But back to your point, Phoenix, I think that the main key for them is been the defense. You keep the defense organized, and then you have a Drogba and a Sean Wright Phillips, Jason Johnson. They can kind of figure it out in attack. They play enough together that cohesion comes through pretty well. They'll figure out an attack, but if you keep your defense organized and have that understanding in that back line, and then obviously Watson and Gavin in this particular case, you're going to win a lot of games, or at the very least get a point when you don't play well in attack.
Bad giveaway from Phoenix. Here's Tulsa on the move on the counter. Kaffa tripped up by Watson, but no call from the referee. Blair Gavin filling in for Kevon Lambert in the middle of the park tonight. Lambert just a little bit of a knock in the last game against Sacramento. Day-to-day with a slight knee injury, but nothing that Patrice Carteron sees to keep him out more than a night or so. Just trying to keep everybody fresh heading into the playoffs.
And Tulsa, in these first 10 minutes, 9.5 minutes, had a hard time breaking down the Phoenix defense.
It's Juan Pablo Kaffa. Gets the return, going for a goal first time. Not a bad idea, but it's going to take something special to beat Josh Cohen from that range.
Yeah, you can see Tulsa, they've had a hard time breaking down the Phoenix defense. Phoenix been able to get numbers back, and that limits the spaces, but also Tulsa struggling to put together 4 or 5 passes. That was really the first time you saw a little bit of patience by Tulsa in their attacking half. Kaffa had space there. If he holds it for a little while longer, maybe he can catch Tyr on the run with a diagonal run into space, but decided to go towards goal. It'll be very important for the captain, Juan Pablo Kaffa, to pull the strings in the midfield, be the one that generates the attack for Tulsa going forward.
Juan Pablo Kaffa, certainly one of the more impressive players on this Tulsa roster. 33 years of age, originally from Argentina. Played for the likes of Betis in La Liga, and he had 7 assists in 1 year with the La Liga side, and he just brings so much experience to this Tulsa side, who at times has had trouble scoring the ball this season. Tyr able to hold things up and beat Ramage off the dribble. Still trouble. Tulsa claiming for a handball, but they're not going to get one, and Phoenix forced to clear it away.
Oh, some impressive footwork by Christian Tyr. The problem was, once again, Phoenix getting a lot of numbers back. Only 2 Tulsa attackers alongside Tyr in the box, and Phoenix cutting out the attack again.
Nice little 1-2 here from Tulsa. Gavin can't get there. Could be on here. Comes back out for Rivas, and Rivas tucks it away. Early strike here for Tulsa as they find the back of the net first. It's an early 1-0 lead for the visitors, and it comes by way of Joaquim Rivas.
They started down the right side of the Tulsa attack. Calistri getting involved, but it looked like Victor Vasquez caught a little bit out of position. It's Levin. How wide did Calistri? Look at Victor Vasquez gets beaten there. His space is left open. Amadou Dia too tight on the marking. Instead of going and filling the space left by Vasquez, he went right on the back of a Tulsa player. That opened up that gap for Rivas. And that's why it's important you have to continue running when you don't have the ball. And we saw Tyr-Young down that right side creating problems. Finally carved out a little bit of space. Rivas was smart. He didn't go directly to the near post. He just kind of stayed back, found that little bit of space, and then finished strong. And we saw down the left side of Phoenix attack causing problems. Now down the right side of the Tulsa attack caused problems, and it leads to a goal.
Rivas with his 5th goal of the season, give Calistri his 4th assist of the season. And Tulsa again looking extremely threatening here. Kafa, Watson nipping at his heels. How good was the work outside from Kimura and Calistri as they were able to get out of extremely tight quarters.
And it was Victor Vasquez. If you're going to go and make a challenge, you better win the ball if you're the left back, because if not, you leave space back there. Amadou Dia also went, tried to challenge, lost, couldn't win the possession back, left all that space down the right side, and Tulsa intelligently took advantage of it.
Drogba dispossessed. Could be a chance here for Tulsa again on the counter. Rivas linking up with Tyr-Young. California native goes back. Calistri sends it back for Kafa. He's going to have a rip. Oh, what a strike from Kafa! It's 2 for Tulsa. My goodness, what a start for the Roughnecks on the road here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Stunning the crowd here in the desert. 2-0 to the visitors by way of a superb strike from the captain, Juan Pablo Kafa.
Only one word to describe that goal, Tyler. Golazo, as they would say in his native Spanish. This is just fantastic. Plenty of time. Takes a good touch to get it onto his left foot with his momentum going forward. And so many times we see players, they take a shot and it just goes over the crossbar, but his technique is flawless, keeps that chest down, the shoulders down, bends himself into it forward, and this side netting. This is absolutely beautiful, fantastic technique. Look how it swerves. Oh, nothing Josh Cohen could do about that. 3 words there, golazo. It was fabulous.
Juan Pablo Kafa getting his 9th goal of the season in terrific fashion. I don't care what side of the ball you're on. When you see a goal like that, you sort of just have to tip your cap. That is absolutely sensational from the Argentinian. And just like that, Phoenix Rising are down 2-0 at home to the 7th place Tulsa Roughnecks.
We're seeing Phoenix give up a lot of space in the middle. We've seen Kafa, he had an opportunity that sailed into the stands about 5 minutes earlier. And he had plenty of time and space, lift his head up, pick out what he wanted to do, and then with that left foot, the natural, you hit it with your left foot, there's a natural swerve to go to the right, and he swerved it beautifully. That's just a fantastic goal there. And that's where Gavin and Matthew Watson, they have to clamp down, secure the middle of the pitch there, right up above the penalty area.
Johnson turning, he's looking to answer back. Johnson with the right foot, and a great save from Cerda.
Johnson carving out some space there, great turn. And as you mentioned, a fantastic save, but he's not being tightly marked.
Diaz sends it in, Drogba hoping for it, and Drogba puts it in. Didier Drogba answers for Phoenix Rising. It's his first goal in over 2 months, and Phoenix have cut the deficit in half. 2-1 here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex.
Didier Drogba in the air, in the penalty area, is automatic. And what a great response for Phoenix. And once again, the play is generated down the left side of their attack, and there was no way Modou Jadama is going to beat Didier Drogba in the air. Might have even been a handball on Jadama. Maybe that's going to count as an own goal, we'll see. But the fact that Drogba was in the area threatening the defense certainly put Tulsa's defense at a position of unease, of nervousness, and he scores. And it's good for Phoenix because they needed that quick response. You didn't want to go another 30, 45 minutes down 2-0. You want to respond quickly with a goal, and that's what they did.
Well, George DiMattelis, we've played 16.5 minutes of football, and we've had 3 goals.
I like it.
I love it.
I like it, yes. It's been wide open football. It's not the tightest marking in the midfield, but that leaves for both teams to run into space, create opportunity, hold the possession. It's been end to end. That's all the makings of an attractive soccer game, and you gotta love that.
Well, we'll wait for the official word on what right now is being claimed as Didier Drogba's goal, but it looked like it did take a touch off of Modou Jadama. As Drogba's taken down, it'll be another free kick opportunity for Phoenix, and they're in a position here to possibly answer back with 2 goals of their own in less than 2 minutes. So this has been a frantic start here in Arizona. Didier Drogba, if it stands, with his 6th goal of this season. And what a way to return for the Chelsea legend.
Which you have to like, especially if you are a Tulsa fan, you have to like the attitude of Tulsa coming out here on the road.
Right, Phillips, decent ball in. Ramage is there, but it's over the bar. And you can sense the crowd here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex are basically hoping there's going to be a goal every time down the field.
This is, sometimes you need to go down. If you're the home team, you go down 2-0. It helps refocus you. I think from this angle we're going to see, I think it's an own goal there on Jadama. Maybe off the chest of Drogba first and then the head of Jadama. Whatever the case, it's a well-deserved goal by Phoenix. Coming from the left side, and Amadou Dia, I would give him the assist on that.
Dia again, linking up with Watson, trying to get away from Kappa, back for Dia. And now it's Jason Johnson in some space. Johnson, and he tucks it away! Phoenix Rising FC answer back in emphatic fashion. We're all level here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex.
Amadou Dia is working on man of the match. He was able to shake off his marker in the midfield, run at the defense, put in a beautiful ball. Well, I can't pass it to himself. It was Dia who put in the ball to Johnson, but it was a run in the midfield, shaking off the defenders that set up Dia out wide, and then he squares it for Johnson. And if the ball does not go in, Sean Wright Phillips is there. But it was Matthew Watson with the great ball to Amadou Dia. Look at that, one time, you're talking about from the feet of Watson to the goal, it's about 4 touches. That's the way modern soccer is. Quick, fast, and into space. Beautiful football there by Phoenix. And 4 goals in 20 minutes. This is a soccer fan's delight.
Well, you just heard George say it, 4 goals in less than 20 minutes between these 2 Western Conference sides. And it truly is the wild, wild west as these 2 teams are going after it and putting on a show for those who have come out here tonight. Drogba towards the back post was hoping for Wright Phillips, who gives an arbitrary thumbs up to Didier, appreciating the effort. But what a start here, and what a treat for the fans. Johnson and Drogba, Kafa and Rivas for Tulsa.
And
soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit nikesoccer.com. Jason Johnson getting his 11th tally of the season.
You know, and with all the talk of Didier Drogba, people forget that Jason Johnson is the team's leading goal scorer, one of the most dangerous strikers and finishers in the USL. He's an excellent finisher and very fast as well, someone that can play very well with Drogba. And going down 2-0, you figured, all right, Phoenix, they're in a little bit of trouble, but they respond very quickly. 2 goals in 3 minutes, and they've leveled this match. This is some great soccer. This is a great advertisement for what the USL can be and the quality of soccer that can be played here.
Well, right after Tulsa scored the second goal, I was going to ask you, do you believe in all of the nonsense where a team coming back from a long road trip like Phoenix, that their first home game is almost like a road game because you're dealing with the travel, you know, you're not in your normal routine, you're coming back, you're just trying to get back into your rhythm, as Phoenix obviously came out a little flat, but I guess that is sort of put to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, the 2 goals they scored and the way that those goals were built up shows me that they were very comfortable, very energized to be back home. And now it's a matter of getting one more to pick up the 3 points. But Tulsa, they've given up a lot of space, and especially down the right side of their defense between Ugarte and Kimura, who are 2 new faces if you're talking about the changes from the San Antonio game. They have not looked too strong. They haven't looked too organized down that right side of their defense, and Phoenix is taking advantage of it.
Late call there from the referee, Malik Badawai. But it will be a free kick for Tulsa and an opportunity for them to maybe retake the lead and score the 5th goal of the match before the 25th minute. Wouldn't necessarily surprise any of us at this point.
I was going to say, if we get more goals, I'm going to need a new sheet of paper.
Kaffa bends it in, not a bad ball, but Vasquez is there first. And now look at Jason Johnson and the pace that he has. Johnson away from the first defender.
Oh.
1 defender to beat. Dia joining him. It is for the back post for Dia. Dia trying to bring it down. He's taken down, and it's a penalty for Phoenix.
Unbelievable. Amadou Dia having a fabulous game, but how about the confidence and the pace of Jason Johnson? Look where he gets this ball, basically beating about 3 Tulsa defenders. Head up, sees Dia, and definitely a foul there. Oh, Jadama is not having a good game. Possible own goal on the first goal from Phoenix, and then, yep, he comes in from behind. There's some contact. And I think that was a well-deserved penalty in favor of Phoenix.
Well, Phoenix Rising FC, after going down 2-0 in the first 11 minutes, have an opportunity to retake the lead, and they do. Didier Drogba, his 2nd in the game, and Phoenix now have a 3-2 lead after being down 2-0.
The captain finishes so calm, so smooth. Look what he did. He didn't run up. He didn't stutter step. He didn't do what a lot of players do. He just, boom, takes it. Calm, cool, collected. Didier Drogba with all that experience. Just 1 step, knew what he wanted to do. And Serda finished going the wrong way, and he finishes strong. Look at that. A brace, 7th of the season. Didier Drogba, the beneficiary of great play between Jason Johnson and Amadou Dia. And you figure, now that Tulsa's down a goal, we saw what happened on that counterattack. They pushed a lot of men forward, and they got caught. It could happen again now with Johnson as the point man up top.
Five goals, not even 25 minutes played yet. Drogba with 2, Johnson with 1. Tulsa had the first 2, but they saw that lead diminish quicker than anyone could possibly expect. And Tulsa, who are off to a dream start and for all intents and purposes were on their way to clinching their first ever postseason berth, now find themselves in a little bit of trouble.
Up 2-0 and now down 3-2 in the span of about 8 minutes. We always say 2-0 is the most dangerous, maybe most misleading score line in soccer and football soccer. Well, I think this game just proved that.
However, they could answer here as Street did have a beat on it. Good play there from Ramage to get a piece of it. Wakasa trying to locate the football, and its last touch off of Wakasa. Attention Phoenix Rising fans, it's time to celebrate a rich tradition with Dia de los Muertos scratchers tickets from the Arizona Lottery. Play for a chance to win up to $10,000 instantly on 3 unique tickets designed by a local Arizona artist. Visit your favorite Arizona Lottery retailer to play. Good play here from Tulsa. Ball sent in. Wright Phillips is there to deny the service, but it is a corner for Tulsa.
Yeah, both teams have been able to exploit a lot of space in the defense. Phoenix, they've been able to, on a couple of occasions, just get numbers back, but still, the gaps are there, the spaces are there, and both teams have done very well to exploit those spaces, obviously with 5 goals.
Drogba able to get there first with a defensive header. And there's a foul on Sean Wright Phillips and a free kick coming out the other way. And this is, you're really seeing what this Phoenix team can do to teams in terms of them sitting behind the ball and absorbing pressure and trying to come out the other way. It's something that Patrice Carteron pointed out in our conversation with him earlier in the week, is that they found a tactic that works for this team. It's no secret that they like to put numbers behind the ball and give the likes of Wright Phillips, Johnson, Drogba space to play on the other end. And if your center backs aren't strong at the back and the players that you have back when you commit numbers forward are lacking in 1v1 defending, or, you know, are just not in great form like you see here with Tulsa, you could let up 3 goals in 25 minutes.
Absolutely, and that's exactly how Phoenix want to play. And I think that, to your point, with Jason Johnson as the point man up top, with his pace and his confidence and his dribbling ability, he can exploit a defense like that, they get caught high, they lose the ball, and then they can turn over quickly and get that counterattack going. And that is the right way to do it if you have a team like this. You want to make sure you're solid defensively. That's probably the priority, defensive organization, and then pressing in the midfield, quickly winning the ball, and then getting the ball to Drogba and Jason Johnson and Amadou Didier with the pace. So it's a tactic, a strategy that has worked forever. It's time-tested, approved, 100 grade A, whatever the phrase is, I don't know. It's worked for a long time, and it's worked well in this game, and especially when you have a team that's on the road, they're up 2-0, or in this case, Phoenix was down 2-0. In Tulsa, they gambled. They wanted to get that third one. They gave up the space, committed too many men forward, and Phoenix punished them.
Johnson trying to bring it down for Phoenix. He's going to end up winning it back. Great work here from the Jamaican. Still Johnson. Good defending there from Kamara.
Yeah, Amadou Didier on that far left side had made the run, but Johnson couldn't get it to him in time. The connection of Didier and Johnson has worked out very well. And you mentioned it, we mentioned it before the game. Carlton always trying to tweak some things, experiment a little bit. And that might be what he's discovered with Didier and Johnson in this 4-2-3-1. Might be something that will be effective for him in the playoffs.
Well, it looks like he's cooked something up pretty delicious for these Phoenix fans, as they have been firing on all cylinders in the attacking third. However, here's Tulsa on the move yet again. Corrales with plenty of time and space to bend this ball in, picking out whoever he wants. It's going to fall for Tyr-Young, and that's in. We're all level at 3 again, and it's Tyr-Young who gets the tally for Tulsa. 3-3, and we haven't even played a half an hour.
Well, we were talking about Christian Tyr-Young coming in for Ian Svantesson, who is the team's leading goal scorer, and what would he do? How effective would he be? Well, he's answered the question. First of all, look how much time Corrales has to pick out a pass. No one is there to mark him, and it goes to the far post. Tyr-Young smartly moving into space to give himself a chance to finish, and he scores. And how about the assist there on that far side for Tyr-Young? It's a great ball over the top. That is Calistri sliding in, and a great assist, and it's 3-3. And both of these teams giving up a lot of space in defense. And we as soccer fans are enjoying it because we have 6 goals in 30 minutes. It's been a lot of fun, but you have to question Corrales. All that time, no one was coming. Sean Wright Phillips was nowhere near him, and Wakasa was in the penalty area guarding the near post. That's a mistake there.
Wakasa is sending it into the path of Jason Johnson. He's muscled off the ball by Jadama. And I guess if there are any youngsters out there watching, this is probably what not to do defensively.
For sure, yeah. But it might be how you play when the defense is struggling. When you have space,
Well, it's an attacking clinic.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
You mentioned it briefly. The ball from Calistri coming back was absolutely superb. I mean, the ball was traveling out of bounds. It was a great ball in from Corrales, but he had a lot of work to do to be able to bring that down for Tieryoung. I don't know if he intended that to go right to the foot of his striker's feet, but I mean, it was spectacular nonetheless. His second assist of the game, and that's now 5 assists on the season for Joey Calistri. Here he is again out wide. Trying to chop it back, ends up working out nicely for him.
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't give it up to Rivas.
Tulsa again sending it in. Ramage is going to get there first.
Yeah, Calistri dribbled, I think he dribbled a little too much because Rivas was right there at the top of the penalty area asking for it. He gets it to Rivas. Rivas can turn, take a good right-footed shot.
Kafa, clever ball in. G. Back for Kafa once more. He's got a goal tonight. Spectacular goal with that. Certainly will be a nominee for USL Goal of the Week.
Yeah, the swerve on Kafa's goal. When you see it from the angle from behind Kafa when he takes the shot in the swerve, it is spectacular. And that's the beauty of the game. It's the technique that these guys have to put the ball where they put it sometimes, and the bending action, it's unbelievable. It's amazing.
Corrales, orchestrator on the last goal for Tulsa.
And now Phoenix, after giving up 3 goals, they are waiting for Tulsa to get deeper in their attacking half and then trying to press a little bit more, man mark a little harder.
I'm sure Patrice Carteron is wanting to eat his words after our conversation with him, because he was talking so much about defensively how good this team has been recently, and they have been. In their last 20 games, they have something like around 8 clean sheets. And they have just been so superb defensively, and while at times they have looked a little shaky, they've been able to get those clean sheets. They've been able to help out Cohen. Cohen has stepped up when his number's called. But this seems to be a night where either everything's going right for the attacking team, or their center backs and outside backs are just falling asleep. And even more so, Gavin and Watson aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Defense sometimes, obviously there's a lot of tactics involved, but a lot of it is an attitude and how much is a player willing to get stuck in, get physical, make sure that he dominates his space. And Phoenix right now, they're not doing that, and Tulsa is taking advantage of it. We mentioned the 11-game unbeaten run. They gave up only 4 goals in that span, and in the last 2 games, or at least 1.5, or almost 1.5, they've given up 5. And 2 last week in the loss to Sacramento, and then 3 here. So maybe after they clinched, they got a little complacent.
Calistri, he has a shot. It goes through everybody, and then Cohen off of his line in a timely fashion. It seems Calistri is doing whatever he wants on that far side with Victor Vasquez.
Yeah, it seems like everything that is happening in this match is coming from that far side, the left side of the Phoenix defense, the right side of the Tulsa attack. And it's worked out well in terms of scoring goals, but the defense has left a lot to be desired, obviously.
Johnson with some great footwork. Drogba's asking for it. A little bit behind him from Amadou Dia. There's Blair Gavin.
See, that's why Matthew Watson is so important. Someone behind Drogba, in case he loses the ball or maybe gets caught too high and can't fill in that defensive role or that space. Watson is there to back him up.
Here's Watson on the move offensively. Sees it in space, back for Drogba, going for it with the left foot. Not a bad idea from the Chelsea legend, as he was looking for his hat-trick inside of the first 36 minutes.
Yeah, definitely a good idea there by Didier Drogba, but Sean Wright Phillips was open down the right side as well. A little quick turn of the head, maybe he can get it to Sean Wright Phillips, and it's a better goal-scoring opportunity, but still, you could see Watson getting inside. He was not marked in the penalty area. They decided to turn and leave it for Drogba, but also a clever pass by Amadou Dia as well. To me, Dia is playing a fabulous game, and he is in the running for man of the match consideration, what he's doing down that left side.
Didier Drogba also in the running for that honor, as he is a brace tonight, although the first goal still waiting for firm confirmation that did come off of Didier Drogba or was on its way to the goal. as it looked like it might have taken a touch off the center back from Tulsa, Jadama. Here is Jadama, who's had a bit of a shaky start here in the desert. He's on wide for Corrales.
And Jadama probably an own goal. Obviously, we have to have the confirmation of that, as you mentioned. And then was the man that committed the penalty that led to Drogba's second goal. So he's had a rough game.
Tyrion over the top for Rivas, but that's well defended by Cody Wakasa. Jonathan Levin.
Look how much space Levin had to dribble into the area. Corrales making the run down the left side.
Gavin along for Drogba. Good work though from Jonathan Levin, although he might have taken a shot along the way, and he did. Drogba going to check that Jonathan Levin is okay. Referee stopping play here.
Yeah, I think Drogba, he waved to the referee as if to say, I didn't deserve a yellow card there. Don't give me the yellow card. And as you mentioned, he is under yellow card warning, so he's lucky there. He probably wasn't a yellow card offense, but he wanted to make sure that the referee understood that he didn't deserve a yellow card. The last couple of possessions, if you will, for Tulsa, they've been trying to play it over the top, trying to connect with Kafa or Tyrion, and that's not really working for them. The way they've been able to get back in this game is exploit the space and keep the ball on the ground and let the ball do the movement and carve up that back line with slick passing and runs into space. And Drogba stepping on the foot there of Levin.
Fans, the USL is one of the most prominent second division professional leagues in the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and information by visiting uslsoccer.com, and give them a follow on Twitter at USL. Now, you mentioned earlier, George, we were talking about tactics and, you know, how Phoenix has been a team that likes to sit behind the ball, absorb pressure, and come out the other way. But there was a time back when Spain won the World Cup where keeping the ball, having 70% possession was the cool thing to do. And that's what everybody was trying to do. You know, the tiki-taka. If you were starting a team and you had to pick what sort of style of play you would want to go forward with, what do you think would be the most successful right now in the modern game?
Right now, I think you have to have a lot of possession. So I would do the quote-unquote tiki-taka way. I think that the big difference, if you're talking about Spain and the Barcelona squads, was, at least the criticism of it was not as direct as teams would like.
Here's Wright Phillips. This is extremely direct as he was trying to bend that across. He will want to throw it.
Yep. But having a lot of the possession means you can have your wing backs get involved. You can have your defensive midfielders get involved. So I would choose a team that would be dominant in terms of possession. Now, the question is, and as I mentioned before, that was kind of the criticism of those Spanish teams.
Casa sending it towards the back post. Diaz there, just nods it back across, but Levin is also there.
Was a lot of side passing from side to side. And I'm always reminded of that Bayern Munich team that won the treble. I always felt like that was one of the most entertaining teams to watch. The Jupp Heynckes, who might be back at Bayern, by the way. They won the treble. They had a lot of possession, but you would see 2 or 3 guys running into the area at the same time. They were very direct, and they were a lot of fun to watch when Robin and Ribéry were, I guess, in their prime. So I guess the answer is, in a roundabout way, because I talk too much, is possession, but with directness as well. If you can mix the possession with being direct, that's the best way, most entertaining way I would want to play.
And just playing devil's advocate here, you know, Phoenix obviously is taking the other route.
Right.
And they were able to really dismantle the first place Real Monarchs a few weeks ago. I mean, it was a magnificent tactical performance, and they didn't even have many of their big names in the lineup. Jason Johnson was really the only big name. Rigi didn't play, Drogba didn't play, Pete Ramage didn't play. And it was just a matter of forcing everything out wide for Real Monarchs, and Phoenix just saying, we'll deal with everything in the middle of the box, and then we'll counter with you because we have all this pace up top. And now Tulsa are off on the break. Good opportunity here, cut inside. The shot blocked in front by Ramage, and that's a timely defensive play. And now they're looking to operate quickly on the other end. Great clearance turns into a chance. Amadou Dia, 1v1 with Kimura. Dia had Drogba overlapping. Drogba's upset he didn't receive the ball, and Kimura ends up winning it.
But when you talk about pushing wide, that's a situation right there. That right middle channel out wide. Tulsa were able to break. Vasquez getting caught out of position. And you saw Gavin trying to get back into space to fill in that gap. And got into the area. I believe, who was it? Calistri got into the area, if I'm correct. Just the shot at the last second was kept out. But yeah, it's easier to defend if you can push the players out wide and kind of jam the middle. The problem that Phoenix is having in this game is they're not jamming the middle either, because there are players who are still making runs in the middle that are able to connect with the players out wide. And if you're going to push players out wide, then you have to be strong in the marking and the pressing and use that sideline as another defender, and they haven't been able to do that. Quick passing by Tulsa has certainly helped to disrupt that. So it's a good strategy to push teams out wide because you shorten the attack, but at the same time you have to put pressure on and press and try to dispossess.
Serda able to claim that one. Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit nikesoccer.com. And if you're just joining us, folks, well, you've missed a lot.
Yeah.
6 goals between the two sides before the half-hour mark. Didier Drogba with a brace, Jason Johnson with a great goal, and Juan Pablo Caffa with certainly a goal of the week nominee, potentially a goal of the year nominee as well. Strike from about 22, 23 yards out that just dipped and swerved and found its way into the top right corner, leaving Josh Cohen utterly helpless. Tulsa jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Phoenix answered within about 10 minutes. Phoenix were able to win a penalty. Drogba buried it, and then Tulsa, going according to script, were able to answer right back and tie it up at 3-3. And that is where we stand at the moment. Tyler Terrens along with the infamous George D. Metellus. Thank you for joining us here on Your View. Tulsa looking to claim their first ever postseason spot in franchise history, but they need 3 points to do it, or perhaps a draw, and then a Sacramento win or draw against Orange County. Levin. Jason Johnson looking to apply pressure. Jadama will go all the way back to Serda. Corrales.
Look at Tulsa. Only one outfield player in their defensive half. They are playing that, what they call that infamously suicidal high back line. So they have to be careful here not to turn the ball over too high up in their attacking half and give up a quick turnover, quick counter.
As I'm sure this game is going to be a major talking point for Mike Watts and his show. And stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on SiriusXM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, SiriusXM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and times.
This game, with 6 goals in the first half, turning out to be a classic.
Johnson, long for Drogba. Great footwork to get away from the first defender. Levin giving all that he can handle. Drogba still on his feet somehow. Now it's over for Dia.
That's the combination of skill, strength, and determination by Didier Drogba. He understands what to do with the ball, and when it looked like he was losing it, used his body to keep the possession for Phoenix. Well done by the legend.
Can we make it 4 things? Can we throw in balance as well?
Balance, yes. Strength, balance, absolutely.
Going back to your earlier point about Tulsa and playing that high line, it's refreshing to see a team on the road have this sort of attacking mentality.
Yeah, for sure. One thing, you figure Tulsa, really they only need a draw in their end. So you figure they might come out conservative here and just look to pick up the draw, and that hasn't been the case. They've been aggressive. They've gone for goals. They're going for the victory here, and you like to see that. These guys are competitors. They want to win. And the coach has responded as well.
Calistri again giving Victor Vasquez all that he can handle. And Vasquez able to deny the service. Calistri took a shot in the process, and it will be a corner for Tulsa. Update on the Orange County Sacramento score. It's 0-0 between Paul Buckle's side and Logan Paus's side in the 18th minute. And again, with a draw for Tulsa and a draw or a win for Sacramento, and they are in. But 3 points will seal the deal as they are in charge of their own fate at the moment. But Phoenix Rising and not going to let them get away with one too quickly here at home. Kaffa bending it in. Cohen didn't have a clean beat on it, had to punch it away. G, he'll have a go. Takes the deflection off of Drogba and be another corner for Tulsa. So we've played about 2 minutes of the allotted 4 minutes of stoppage time.
Lots of time there for Paris G. I thought he would even just take a couple more touches toward goal, really get his momentum into it, but it was good enough to win a corner.
And look at Didier Drogba just being the diplomat that he is, trying to sort out all of the nonsense going on in the penalty area before the corner comes in.
It's the mind games, the veteran mind games and psychological tactics deployed by Didier Drogba, who's played in some of the biggest games in world football, so he understands.
On Pablo Kaffa on top of the corner again. It'll be an outswinger this time. Header won initially by Tulsa, but didn't necessarily go anywhere. Wright Phillips trying to spin away, but it's Tulsa who reclaims possession. Not a bad ball back in. Cohen had to make the save. It was a good idea on the head. And Cohen just trying to calm things down for Phoenix, as so sure both teams would be happy to head back into the locker room all tied up.
And that was a crucial winning of the ball in the midfield there to deny Sean Wright Phillips, because if Sean Wright Phillips gets that ball, he is got a ton of space in front of him to run at that Tulsa defense on a counter.
Luigi Mala will go all the way back for Cohen. Drogba trying to bring it down right in front of Levin, screaming at his holding center midfielders Watson and Blair Gavin to join in. Wright Phillips around Corrales. Plenty of green to gallop into for the former Chelsea man. Wright Phillips trying to bend it in early off of the defender Levin, and it will be a throw-in for Phoenix.
An important play there by Levin with Corrales getting caught out of position. Levin had to come in and fill in that space that the left back left open, and he did a good job there to prevent the cross getting into the penalty area.
Halftime here at Phoenix. Yes, it is halftime. It's not full time, and you are seeing the score correctly. 3-3 between Phoenix and Tulsa at the end of 45 minutes. George D. Metellus, your thoughts on a pretty slow first half?
It was big fun. Big fun. Let's see if we get 6 more goals in the second half. That would be amazing.
Didier Drogba with a brace in the first 45 minutes on the doorstep of a hat trick. Phoenix and Tulsa at the half.
Couple of drinks, that's $15.75.
I got this.
What are you doing? Oh, mind tricks. That's cute, buddy. But you still have to pay.
With Arizona Federal Credit Union, I can pay with my Apple Watch. I don't need cash or card.
Stop.
Arizona Federal provides mobile solutions when you need them most.
You will upgrade your popcorn for $1 more.
I will upgrade my popcorn for $1 more.
Really?
No.
Arizona Federal. Now that's the power of us.
The Heineken family passed down a special gift. An original recipe with only 3 ingredients and all of them natural. I also have a special gift. The ability to cry on demand. It's beautiful. Only 3 natural ingredients. There's more behind a star.
Hey, little man. I'm your new house. Come on in. This is gonna be great. Watch what we can do together. Lights. Ta-da! Locks. Not bad, huh? Oh, and this. I've been saving this for you. You take care of the universe, I'll take care of you.
Cox Home Life. Home security and automation.
Phoenix Rising Fútbol Club está luchando por los playoffs, con más goles, más victorias y menos goles encajados en la historia del club. No te pierdas los últimos partidos de esta histórica temporada. Obtén boletos antes que se agoten. Sábado 7 de octubre contra Rio Grande Valley Fútbol Club. Jóvenes jugadores reciben un póster de Drogba gratis. Phoenix Rising Fútbol Club. Nuestro equipo se levanta hacia las finales.
3-3 at the half here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Didier Drogba with a brace, Juan Pablo Caffa with a spectacular goal as well. We'll step away for a moment and take a closer look at your Phoenix Rising FC.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Phoenix is an optimal choice for MLS expansion.
Phoenix on my heart. The project on my heart.
The new stadium that they built in, I think, 52 days, which I think is an all-time record.
My name is Sean Wright Phillip.
My name is Peter Ramage.
Soy Omar Bravo.
My name is Didier Drogba.
Phoenix Rising SC.
Phoenix Rising.
Phoenix Rising.
Phoenix Rising.
Phoenix Rising FC.
Phoenix Rising FC.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can.
Get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can. Intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
As we enter the final 2 weeks of the 2017 USL regular season, the playoff race is coming down to the wire. In one of the final games of Week 28, the Charleston Battery claimed the point they needed to clinch a spot in the postseason through Evio Cordova's late equalizer, which earned a 1-1 draw at Ottawa Fury FC. Another sellout crowd at Papa Murphy's Park of 11,569 fans saw Sacramento Republic FC close out its home slate on a high note Saturday night with a 2-0 victory that ended Phoenix Rising FC's 11-game undefeated streak. With the win, Republic FC now needs just 1 point to claim a 4th consecutive trip to the USL Cup playoffs. At the top of the Western Conference, Real Monarchs SLC struck early in the second half and twice before the final whistle on the road to down Reno 1868 FC 3-0 to put one hand on the USL regular season championship. 1 more point is all that's needed for the Monarchs to claim the first silverware in their history. One of the scorers for the Monarchs in Reno was Chandler Hoffman, who is again firmly in the middle of the race for the USL Golden Boot with 16 goals this season. Everyone is still chasing Reno 1868 FC's Dane Kelly, though, as the Jamaican continues to lead the way with 18 goals in what looks now like a 3-player race that also features Hoffman and the Charlotte Independence's Enzo Martinez, who also sits on 16 goals. With 2 games remaining for all 3 players, the award remains up for grabs as the regular season nears its conclusion. For USL Network, I'm Morgan Conklin.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color-coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me. That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with one of the members of La Furia Roja, one of the supporters groups of Phoenix Rising FC, Christine Lance. And Christine, you guys are having a very special event coming up this Sunday. Can you talk about it?
We do. This Sunday we are having our first annual blood drive in conjunction with Phoenix Rising and La Furia Roja 1881. Something for 5 years that we've been in existence. We really like to give back to the community as much as possible. And this is just one of the best ways to do it. Blood is always needed in the Valley.
Now, obviously, with the recent events in Vegas, how important it is to donate blood. For someone like you, having done this for 5 years, how much should you get out of doing something like this in the community?
Well, you know, we always want to get as many people as possible because, you know, the blood banks right now are low. So the more we can get out there, the better. We still got time slots available. We're going to be there from 12 to 4 on Sunday. So, you know, you can go to our website, La Furia Roja on Facebook, to pick a time slot to come and give blood. It's going to be right here at the stadium, so real easy to find.
All right, awesome. So remember, that's this Sunday, 12 to 4 here at the stadium. You can look up La Furia Roja 1881 on Facebook. Last question, 3 words to describe this half.
I'll just do it in one. Crazy.
Very much so. Guys, back to you.
Crazy indeed. 3-3 here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Thanks to Jose and thanks to Christine doing such a great job with La Furia Roja 1881. We'll be back in just a few moments. Stay with us.
I'm all about the fish, all about the rice. I think I'm inspired mostly by the discipline behind sushi, the hand-eye coordination, the knife skills. The knife makes a difference based on the steel and the person who made it, and more importantly, the person who uses it and takes care of it. I think there's a certain amount of elegance and simplicity, and I think sushi is, in its core, simple.
At Pruitt's, savings and style live comfortably together. And right now, the selection has never been better. Just look at this 3-piece Sonoma Chaise sectional, only $599. And this urban casual 4-piece bedroom, just $499. Visit Pruitt's for the lowest prices and best selection. Alma School and Ray or Thomas Road and 34th Street. Pruitt's, proudly serving the Valley for 65 years.
Phoenix Rising Football Club está luchando por los playoffs, con más goles, más victorias y menos goles encajados en la historia del club. No te pierdas los últimos partidos de esta histórica temporada. Obtén boletos antes que se agoten. Sábado 7 de octubre contra Rio Grande Valley Football Club. Jóvenes jugadores reciben un póster de Drogba gratis. Phoenix Rising Football Club. Nuestro equipo se levanta hacia las finales.
Moving right through halftime here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Yes, it is halftime, and there have been 6 goals, 2 from Didier Drogba and a stunner from Juan Pablo Caffa, as well as Jason Johnson, Rivas, and Tier Young getting in on the mix as well. Tyler Terrence along with George D. Metellus, and we didn't buckle up for the first half. I think we should have, and we'll take a look at some of the best moments from the first 45 minutes, and it's just going to be a goal highlight reel, George, and right off the bat, Tulsa looking very dangerous in the attacking third.
Yeah, coming down the right side of their attack, and it's a great ball as Rivas able to finish it, and Calistri setting it up as well. He had a very good game, Joey Calistri, the number 7 down the right side, but it was certainly a shock to the Phoenix fans that they were down 1-0 so early, and then the goal of the match. This is just absolutely brilliant. Fabulous technique by the captain of Tulsa, plenty of time. And then from this angle, you can see the swerve on it. There's nothing Josh Cohen could do about that. And it was 2-0 at this point. You figure Tulsa, they're going to cruise. They're going to, you know, maybe lock up the 3 points, but Phoenix respond quickly.
They respond in the form of Didier Drogba. We'll take another look at it. Looks like it might have hit off of the defender from Tulsa, Jadama, last. But either way, Didier Drogba is going to claim it. Phoenix will claim it. And that would cut the deficit in half. And then just a few moments later, a blast from Jason Johnson.
Yep, once again, it's Amadou Dia setting up Johnson, takes a great first touch, and then just blasts it there, and Fabian Cerda could do nothing about it there. When you have a goal scorer like Jason Johnson that close to goal, he's going to finish.
And then minutes after that, the madness continues to ensue. Amadou Dia taken down from behind by Jadama, and if it was an own goal, it's a pretty shaky half for the center back, and then Didier Drogba as cool as you would like.
And that whole movement started with Jason Johnson winning the ball in the midfield. Tulsa's back line getting caught very high, and they couldn't deal with the speed and the dribbling of Johnson. He set up Dia, and then Didier Drogba, just one time. You see, didn't no stutter step, nothing fancy, just finished it. And then this is a brilliant goal here. The cross by Corrales, who had a ton of time, sends it far post. Calistri doing well to hustle to get a boot onto it, and then Tier Young in the right place at the right time. We moved into the perfect position, and his technique to finish with the right foot was excellent.
Tier Young with just his 2nd goal of the season, filling in for the leading goal scorer of Tulsa, Ian Svantessen, who is off tonight and is available off the bench, so we might see him. And here are the stats from the first half. And again, these sort of look like final match stats. 10 shots for either team, 4 on target for either team. 3 out of the 4 for both teams have found the back of the net. And as usual, Phoenix giving up possession, but they're happy to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Very even match so far, obviously, except for the possession. But how about this? No yellow cards, no red cards, no offsides. That means both teams are doing very well in terms of timing their runs and clean tackles as well. Well, there haven't been that much tackling in the midfield because there's been all kind of goals and movement, so we don't have to worry about that. But anytime you can get more shots and more goals than cards, you're playing a fun game that is a great advertisement for USL soccer.
A great advertisement, but if you're either Patrice Carteron or David Vaudry, not particularly happy with the defending that's been going on. We saw a couple occasions where Didier Drogba was livid with both of his holding central midfielders, Matt Watson and Blair Gavin, who just sort of seem to be lost with the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's been tough for those two, mainly, especially when the ball comes from the goalkeeper and they play it long and Drogba is winning the ball in the air. He's got to head it down, and Gavin or Watson have to be there to gain the possession and then push forward in the attack.
And here is a live look at what the playoffs would look like if the season were to end right now. And at the moment, obviously, it's going to be Phoenix and San Antonio. That's what it seems like it's going to unfold as. But the question remains, sort of, which team is going to be home?
That's something that we will find out over the next couple of weeks. But Phoenix, this is the first of the last 3 of their season that they will be at home. They have 2 more home games left. So they could move ahead of San Antonio if they win out. And I always say, if you're a team, you got to win at home. And then if you get a draw on the road, It's not desirable, but it's not bad either. So if they can win out, get 9 points in these next 3 home games, or actually 6 in the next 2, I should say, if they get the 3 here tonight, and they'll set themselves up very well in the playoffs.
And then on the other side of the Mississippi River, the Eastern Conference, Louisville locking up that 1 spot already. Charleston and Charlotte still jostling for that 2 or 3 seed. Charlotte have a huge matchup coming up against Louisville this weekend, and Cincinnati is certainly a tough draw for the Charlotte Independence team, who's been in terrific form with the exception of the last few weeks, and they've paid the price for it.
It's the Eastern Conference is wide open. I know Louisville is the #1 seed and Red Bulls too, looking strong, but I'm looking at Cincinnati because of what they did in the U.S. Open Cup. If they can put together that kind of run in the playoffs like they did in the U.S. Open Cup, they could go to the final. We'll see.
Well, we have some business to finish here in the desert as Didier Drogba, Josh Cohen looking to put the finishing touches on this Tulsa team. But it doesn't necessarily seem like 1 goal is going to do it for either team. You might need about 4 or 5 to really put this to bed. Tulsa, if you're just joining us, folks, Tulsa had a 2-0 lead. They blew it. Phoenix came back. They were able to score the go-ahead. And here is a very, very audacious effort from Juan Pablo Caffa that Josh Cohen doesn't really need to worry about as we're underway here at the second half. And Phoenix came back. They were able to tie it up 2-2. Drogba was able to bury a penalty, make it 3-2, and then Tulsa answered right back with a goal of their own to make it 3-3. Nothing to really write home about in the last 5-10 minutes of the first half, but we had enough action for about 3 weeks or so in the first half an hour. And already an early ball sent in, Drogba elevating, but can't necessarily bring it down. Applause from the former Chelsea man for the ball from Victor Vasquez.
Yeah, interesting to see what defensive adjustments will be made tactically by Patrice Carteron and David Vaudreuil as they look to pick up the 3 points here. It is a coach's dream in terms of the attacking. They love the fact that their players were able to finish their chances. We saw the statistics, what, 75% goal efficiency, if you want to call it that. But at the same time, it was a nightmare for them defensively. And so which coach will make that defensive adjustment that will at least prevent the other team from getting a good goal-scoring opportunity or minimizing the goal-scoring opportunities, while at the same time transitioning and keeping that attacking prowess and that attacking finishing strong. We'll see.
Not many defensive options off the bench for Phoenix, just A.J. Gray and Jordan Stewart. Sam Hamilton you can also throw into that mix, but you have Gladson Awako, Chris Cortez, as well as Alessandro Rigi, all available off the bench for Phoenix tonight. So we'll see where Patrice Carteron's head is at as far as making those substitutions is concerned, but plenty of time until we have to worry about all of that. Although Patrice does like to keep his players fresh, just trying to keep everybody in the right frame of mind and keep their bodies in the right form as well. And we could see substitutions more earlier than expected as Matt Watson applying pressure essentially by himself, doing all sorts of running, covering a lot of ground, while Didier Drogba says, go ahead, I'm just going to stand over here and press out here.
That's what they need from Matt Watson, to do the defensive dirty work while Didier Drogba comes up and leads the attack.
Amadou Dia looking to find Drogba. He's able to skip away from the first defender. Drogba with a big touch into space. Might end up working out for Phoenix yet. Johnson around the first defender, sends it in. Looked like it took a deflection. It did. It'll be a corner for Phoenix. At every Phoenix Rising home match during the 2017 season, 2 lucky fans will be upgraded to sit in the best seats in the house, courtesy of Pruitt's Fine Furniture. These lucky winners will not only enjoy tonight's action in the most comfortable seats directly on the pitch, but those luxury reclining chairs will also be delivered to their home next week as a gift from Phoenix Rising FC and Pruitt's Fine Furniture.
Oh, man, every time I sit in those recliners, I fall asleep. Oh, those look so comfortable.
Need you awake over here.
Yeah.
Corner doesn't get past the first defender. Blair Gavin is there. Sends it back out wide for Drogba. Comes out wide for Calistri, already with 2 assists on the night, looking for the orchestration hat trick. Calistri on the move again. Calistri around the defender, goes for goal, but couldn't get enough on it. A brief glimpse at what Joey Calistri is capable of, and fortunately for Josh Cohen, didn't have his best stuff in terms of finishing it off, as both Luigi Mala and Joey Calistri are down. Couldn't necessarily see exactly what happened.
And once again, we saw Victor Vasquez. He's the left back, but he was deep in the penalty area. That allowed Calistri all that space, and Blair Gavin couldn't get over in time to prevent Calistri or close down that space. And that allowed Calistri, with his pace, to get into the penalty area and almost score a fantastic individual goal. Great ball by Kafa to play him into space. You can see no one near him for a good 15 meters until Vasquez finally comes out. Doesn't quite hit it right and then crashes into Mala. But this has been a problem for Phoenix down the left side with Victor Vasquez. He gets either caught too deep in the penalty area or too high up the pitch, and he leaves too much space behind him or next to him in this situation, and Blair Gavin can't come over in time. So Vasquez has to be a little bit better disciplined in terms of his spacing and his positioning. You
mentioned it was a good ball by Juan Pablo Kafa, but anybody's going to look good if you're playing the ball into that much space and time. I mean, that's the point you brought up, but I think that is something that we need to continue to harp on, because there's been all sorts of time and space, and that's so uncharacteristic of this Phoenix team, who usually has close to 11 players behind the ball.
And when you consider the 3 goals from Tulsa, almost all of them, except for the Kafa goal, came from the right side of the attack. I know the goal by Tyr-Young was started by Corrales sending the service out wide on the left and then to the right, and then Calistri doing a great job of squaring it back into the middle. But the majority of Tulsa's attack and the danger in their attack has come from the right side.
And Drogba, after elevating for that header, goes down and is holding that left knee. And the ball going to be played out of bounds now. This is obviously the last thing you want to see from Didier Drogba. Of course, spent a couple months rehabbing a nagging injury back at his former club, Chelsea. And now being tended to by the medical staff of Phoenix Rising FC. And the last thing you want to see from that man heading into the playoffs is picking up another injury. Drogba's just trying to shake it off, and you have to imagine that if it's any sort of tweak, his night's going to be done.
Let's see. Ooh, yeah, it looks like the left ankle buckled under him.
Sort of a hyperextension.
Yeah. His body was at an awkward angle when he landed.
Well, everything appears to be okay for the moment. We'll see if he'll be able to continue. Obviously a war, and it's taken a number of shots, nicks, and bangs and bruises along the way.
A lot of times those knee injuries, the worst ones, the torn ACLs, MCLs, PCLs, and whatever CLs there are, cruciate ligaments, usually they're non-contact injuries. Those are the real bad ones. So that was close there for Didier Drogba, but he appears to be okay, and that's a good thing, good sign.
It's Jonathan Levin. Paris G. Came in extremely hot for Calistri, was able to clean it up.
Been very impressed with Calistri in his game for Tulsa down the right side. Fast, good control, good first touch. Clever in terms of his timing and when to run into space.
Tulsa is one of those teams that's sort of tucked away in the attic, and you don't really get to see them all that much. And when you do see them, it's like, wow, look what we have over here. This is not a bad side.
Absolutely, and we mentioned before, they have a chance to make the playoffs for the first time. They've been kind of the bottom dwellers, the cellar dwellers, if you will, of the Western Conference for a couple of seasons. So to see them make that jump is very good. And them in OKC, if they get into the playoffs, maybe you have that black and gold derby in a playoff situation. We'll see.
Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on SiriusXM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, SiriusXM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and times. Calistri trying to turn, met by Victor Vasquez. Blair Gavin. Handled well by Luigi Mala. Not not been the best of days for either back line of Tulsa or Phoenix. But even in a 6-goal game, all it takes is that 7th.
Yep.
And then you can be able to hold on. I mean, if they get a clean sheet in the second half, you consider the job is done if you're able to lock up those 3 points if you're either team.
I think the player in the back line that has to perform better has to be Victor Vasquez. The left back has been caught out of position numerous times, and Tulsa have been able to take advantage of it.
Watson takes a look around, nobody stepping to him. Watson bending it in, hoping for Drogba, but can't get it over that second defender. Rivas, clever footwork to stay with it.
Well, if Watson keeps the ball on the ground, he would have spotted.
Dangerous play from Francisco Cerda. That was exactly what he wanted to do in terms of popping the ball up. And Cerda making a meal out of it, but Didier Drogba knowing exactly what the keeper was up to. That's something you see on the playground, just trying to flick it up like that and get rid of it.
Cerda is lucky that he's a goalkeeper, and that usually in those situations, 100% of the time, they call it in favor of the goalkeeper, because that first touch that he gave, popped it right in the air, was very dangerous. He needs to just step back and boot it up the park and get it out of there.
Johnson along for Drogba, trying to bring it down. It's a tall task. He's able to keep it in. Or was he?
Well, I thought he kept it in. They're going to say it was a goal kick there. Didier Drogba's game, even when he was at his peak, was never about pace. He was never known as a super fast player. It was always well-positioned, strength, and then his ability to finish. So we've seen a couple times he's had some space in the area or space to run at a defense, and you can see he's just not up to speed in that regard. But still, his value is immeasurable. He's just so clever. That's where the age and the experience comes in. He might not have the pace, but he's got the mind. His mind is still quick. His mind is still clever to play the ball into space and set up his teammates.
And we're getting word now that it's going to be the Ghanaian Gladson Awako who's going to be the first substitute for Patrice Carteron, as he is most likely going to bring off Sean Wright-Phillips, who certainly had a nice night as well. He's orchestrated a couple of plays, not on the score sheet necessarily, but obviously somebody that every defense in the Western Conference and in the Eastern Conference for that matter has to keep an eye on night in and night out.
And unlike Didier Drogba, his game when he was at his prime was about pace, and he still has a good amount of pace. And there's been a couple of times where he's run into space, but his teammates haven't been able to connect with him. If that was the case, if they had been able to connect with him, they could have had another 2 or 3 goals in this game. But Sean Wright-Phillips, also very clever with all his experience. He knows what to do with the ball at his feet. We've seen him actually play number 10 position a couple of times throughout the season when they've made substitutions.
Victor Vasquez on the move here. Cuts in, falls for Drogba. He gets taken down right outside of the box, and it is going to be a free kick.
Amadou Dia getting out of the way, and then,
Could have made the argument that that was maybe a handball.
Yeah, it did look like it there. He tried to burst through the 2 players. He goes down.
And now it is going to be the Ghanaian Gladson Awako. She played for Patrice Carteron a few years ago. And he is going to replace Sean Wright-Phillips, who gets a nice round of applause from the Phoenix Rising faithful. And Gladson Awako, who is a terrific sort of end of the season pickup for Patrice Carteron, has added another dimension of pace to sort of surround the likes of Didier Drogba and Sean Wright-Phillips. And while you said Wright-Phillips does still have some pace, not exactly as fleet of foot as he was a number of years ago. And the youngsters like Awako, like Jason Johnson, able to help out. But now here is Didier Drogba. It's not a bad effort. It's kept out for the moment. They're claiming it went over the line, or at least Blair Gavin was. And it's going to come out the other way, but Didier Drogba almost putting in the hat trick.
Look what he does there. You see that little step out to look around the wall, then bends it. Well done by Fabian Cerda to clear it out. I think I knew it was going toward that near post. Just safely kind of parry it away. Unfortunately for Phoenix, Didier couldn't get on the rebound.
Good step from Watson, but just a little bit too quick to try to send it out wide for Jason Johnson.
Watson being very adventurous, much bolder in this second half going forward. So that means Blair Gavin is going to have to stay back and defend a little more.
Dia able to get it through for Awako on the second try. Awako back for Drogba, setting on the hat trick. Just trying that quick little clever early trigger. Couldn't quite get it to go.
Surprised he didn't go for the left hand. Ooh, possible handball there as well on Kimura. I'm surprised he didn't go for the left foot here. Gets a good touch, get that momentum going to his left, and then finish with the left foot. Didier Drogba missing just wide, but good effort there by Phoenix to get him into space for a shot.
It's time for tonight's Rhesus Dental Smile of the Game. You could get to take home a Phoenix Rising FC player head cutout as part of your prize. You could win the Smile of the Game too. Just look for staff members with the large player head cutouts at the next Phoenix Rising FC home match. Rhesus Dental, their focus is providing quality and affordable dental care and braces for you and your family. To schedule an appointment, head to rhesusdental.com.
Amadou Dia looking dangerous again. A lot of candidates for man of the match. You have Calistri, obviously Drogba with a brace. Can't ignore that, obviously. But Amadou Dia has been excellent down the left side. Played left back against Sacramento, but is pushed up in the attack left wing in this game, and he has performed very well. And he's given Patrice Carton something to think about ahead of the playoffs.
Drogba gets it over for Awako. Cody Wakasa finding Matt Watson in plenty of space. Referee got in the way momentarily. That disrupted Jason Johnson a little bit. That's probably the best defending we've seen tonight.
The referee, he's part of the field.
Calistri stent into space. Much better defending from Victor Vasquez, and the crowd certainly appreciating it here.
Yeah, Vasquez doing a great job of hustling back into position to prevent Calistri from bursting forward, because about 10 minutes earlier, Calistri had a ton of space and almost scored what would have been the go-ahead goal. We're also seeing Jason Johnson. I think it looked like he switched with Drogba now. He's playing deeper in the midfield, and Drogba is kind of the point man, the striker up top. We've seen Jason Johnson with less touches here in this second half compared to the first half, so a little bit of a tactical change. As we mentioned, Carton trying to tweak some things and experiment ahead of the playoffs.
Juan Pablo Caffa trying to return for Rivas. Send it all the way back. Pete Ramage was trying to disrupt Rivas, who was in hot pursuit. Will go out of play. Back to your point about man of the match. Have you always been a believer that it should be the player who has a goal or two, even if it is a penalty or not necessarily involved in the rest of the game, or should it be somebody who put in the most complete effort?
I think it's the most complete effort, although when a superstar like Drogba scores twice, it's hard to ignore him.
If it's not
Drogba, sometimes we as soccer fans and us as broadcasters, sometimes we get caught up with the goals and the numbers and the beauty of the play of the goals, and sometimes we forget that, you know, Amadou Dia has a couple of assists. His play down the left side has been very dangerous. Same with Calistri. He hasn't scored, but he set up a couple goals. You could talk about a situation, Matt Watson, maybe not in this game, but in other games, did very well defensively in the midfield to control the opposite attacking midfielder. So
Caffa towards the back post, Jadama.
So it's very easy to look at the goal scorers when we're talking about man of the match.
Calistri taken down, no call from the referee. It'll stay with Tulsa. Drogba wagging his finger at Joey Calistri saying, none of that. We don't want any of that diving here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex.
But to finish the point, it's very easy to look at the goal scorers and say they're the man of the match, but a lot of times the players that don't score the goals but put in a good work defensively or set up the goals are often more deserving than the ones that are the beneficiary of that hard work.
Should have prefaced that with excluding Didier.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Exactly, yep. I mean, but other than the 2 goals, he has played well in kind of that number 10 role.
Kaffa, great ball in, but nobody there for Tulsa. It seemed like everybody was drawn to this side.
Yep, nobody on that far post. And Juan Kaffa has shown that he can control the ball and pretty much send it to where he wants it to go from anywhere on the field, as evidenced by that goal. And he didn't miss too much from kind of bending it into that far post there.
Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com. Drogba, long for Awako, plenty of room here. Goes out wide for Dia once more. Dia back for Awako. Still some work to do. Awako around a couple defenders, sends it in. Jason Johnson trying to fight his way through. Johnson putting it on frame. Oh, and it sticks in! Jason Johnson, what can't this man do? 4-3 to Phoenix.
Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Mr. Jason Johnson. Tulsa was so worried about giving up a penalty that they didn't really touch anybody in the area. They didn't get physical. They didn't get on top of the attacker. And I thought for sure that the angle was too sharp for Jason Johnson here. Look it, nobody really goes and tries to attack Jason Johnson, and he slips it right in between the legs of Fabian Cerda, who had the near post covered. But fundamental goalkeeping, got to keep those legs tight so that the ball doesn't go through. But you got to like the confidence of Jason Johnson. This is a fantastic strike in between the legs of Fabian Cerda, and Phoenix get that important go-ahead goal, I should say. And once again, Tulsa's defending is lax, to say the least. There's no way that Jason Johnson, surrounded by 3 defenders in the penalty area, that deep in the penalty area, should get a shot off. But he did, and he scored an excellent goal.
Jason Johnson with his 2nd goal of the night and continues to lead this team from the front in terms of the goal scoring category. And I was just about to mention how we have had 6 goals in this game, now 7, and there hasn't really been one goalkeeper error. All of the goals have really been, you know, great work from the attacking side. Nothing that the keepers could have done about it, especially Juan Pablo Kaffa's, but that is most certainly the first goalkeeper error, as this one is sent through. Dia trying to get there, and it will be offside on Amadou Dia.
Yep, for sure. I agree with you there, Tyler. Absolutely. There's no way from that angle that ball should go between the legs of Fabian Cerda and score a goal. The shot probably shouldn't have even been taken if you're going to go back and talk about the defending there. But Jason Johnson with great confidence said that he's got to put that knee down. He had the post covered. He's in the right position. It just went between his legs. It's a great shot by Johnson. But at the same time, that's fundamental goalkeeping and a mistake by Fabian Cerda, and could lead to 3 points for Phoenix. But you have to like the confidence of Jason Johnson. That's just a great strike.
Now a 12 goals on the season, and this is a man who just continues to elevate his game week in and week out.
Yeah, he is going to be a key player. Well, obviously he's going to be a key player for Phoenix going forward in the playoffs. And with all the attention that Didier Drogba gets, and obviously justifiably so, he has been overlooked as one of the best goal scorers in the USL. And I think when playoffs come around, teams better watch out for him, and they better game plan for him, or else he will burn them.
And now it looks like we are going to have a couple of substitution, a double change for David Vaudreuil now, as it's going to be Bourgeois, as well as the leading goal scorer for Tulsa, Ian Svantesson. Svantesson with 11 goals on the season, and you can see just the sheer frame of Van Tessen makes him a constant threat in terms of service coming in from out wide. As it's going to be Ugarte coming off, Bourgeois coming on for Tulsa. And Van Tessen is going to replace the first goal scorer of the night, Joaquin Rivas. First goal seems sort of insignificant at this point,
yeah.
considering there's been 6 more. But certainly a nice night for Rivas and for all members of the attacking front for both sides. And Van Tessen onto the scene here in the 70th minute. And the Banditos certainly enjoying every minute of what they've seen tonight. Didier brings it down. Phoenix Rising with a 4-3 lead after trailing 2-0 and leading 3-2. Glatson Awako. Awako from distance, and Serta spilled it. Fortunately out of bounds, but it will be a corner for Phoenix.
Awako has come in and performed very well, taking advantages of opportunity with the space running, but he had Watson on the run into the penalty area. He could have slotted it to Watson in there, and then Watson just pick out that far post, and we're looking at 5-3. It's not a selfish play by Awako, but he just missed an opportunity to set up Watson, who was running clear into the penalty area.
Corner in from Drogba, another great ball. Serta again, extremely unsure of himself. And you honestly can't blame him after that howler of a mistake on the last Jason Johnson goal.
Absolutely, and speaking of Jason Johnson, he was flying in right in front of Serta. If he times the run a little bit better, or maybe if the service is a little lower, he's got a header right there, and we're talking about a hat trick.
He is just a phenomenal athlete, Jason Johnson. It's amazing with, you know, how much pace he has and the acceleration and the quickness, but also the grace that he has about him, the footwork. I mean, he's not just some guy who kicks it 20 yards in front of him and says, okay, let's turn it into a foot race. He can beat you in tight areas.
And especially for a tall, lanky player as well. You're talking 6 foot, which is in soccer, football soccer, it's tall, 6 foot. But you mentioned lanky, but quick, great footwork, and right now confident. And that's the key trait right now, the key characteristic. When you have a striker, goal scorer who's confident, they are unstoppable. And with his talent and skills, it's amazing. It's fun to watch.
Calistri cuts it out in the middle of the park. He's got plenty of space trying to pick somebody out. Nobody delivering an option for him. Now it goes out wide for Kafa. Already with a goal to his name tonight. And a terrific goal at that. Now here's Paris G. More room out wide for Kimura. Back for Kafa. Penetrating ball into Calistri. Stepping forward is Rambo, and he did well.
And with Bourgeois in the game now, he's replaced Ugarte. They still keep that 4-man backline of Corrales and Kimura. They're going to take more risk here, pushing men forward.
Watson again in just acres of space. Not necessarily a player known for his attacking prowess, but he's had more than enough time and space to do it tonight. Amadou Dia sees the pass from Awako. Back for the Ghanaian. Eludes the first defender. Shows a bit too much of that to Jonathan Levin, and it's Tulsa out the other way.
And what we're seeing now, with Awako coming in, he's moved in behind Drogba. Drogba's moved to the striker.
And now Blair Gavin called for the foul, much to the dismay of the Phoenix Rising faithful. And Blair Gavin's going to be shown mustard to boot here in the 73rd. First booking of the night from Malik Badawai.
Ooh, I don't think that was a yellow card there. He got the ball. There wasn't that much contact. A foul, I can understand that, but a yellow card, I think that's harsh. Maybe because he came in from behind. It looked like maybe he came in from behind, so that's why he gave the yellow card, but I think that's harsh.
Victor Vasquez trying to keep this in play, or maybe just concede a throw-in rather than a corner. But it is the latter, and another opportunity for Juan Pablo Kafa to deliver some terrific service from this right-hand side. 74th minute, Jason Johnson right now with the game winner in a 7-goal frenzy. With a decent ball in, Ramage gets there first.
And those set-piece situations, Fontensen has to be the target because of his height and ability.
And now Matt Watson commits a bit of a clumsy foul, and a very dangerous opportunity here for Tulsa.
Just well done there by Paris G, getting his body in between the ball and Watson, drawing the foul, if you will.
Now Juan Pablo Caffa on top of it already with a stunner of a goal to his name tonight.
Remember that goal he hit swerved to the right. Let's see if free kick's the same.
Caffa, and it's over the bar.
Thought he would try to swerve it over the wall to the post to the left of Josh Cohen. I think he was thinking, okay, Cohen is going to float to his left, so the space that he leaves open by moving over to the left, I'm going to send the ball that way, but just can keep the shot down.
Argentinian has played a spectacular match thus far, but could not get the equalizer for Tulsa.
And with Awako coming in, he's moved in behind Drogba. Drogba is that lone striker up top, and then it's Dia on the left and Jason Johnson moving out wide on the right.
Phoenix most certainly going to take their time with every dead ball. Gladson Awako able to keep it in play. Vasquez, nice penetrating ball into Dia. 2 assists already tonight, trying to find Drogba. Gavin sends it back in. Good defensive work there from Paris G. And even better work from Tulsa to get out of an extremely tight area here on the near side. Great tackle from Matt Watson. Patrice Carteron loves it from the touchline, but Watson surrenders possession immediately.
Well, and Watson has been a lot more energetic here in this second half.
Fabian Cerda again rolling the dice with his feet. They haven't failed him yet tonight, but you have a feeling if he does that one more time, Phoenix are going to be on top of him.
Well, I know Tulsa coach David Vadoy is uneasy, we'll put it that way, when the ball is at the feet of Fabian Cerda, but he has managed not to make a mistake and keep a goal from happening on his from his feet, or a mistake from his feet.
And now it's going to be Colin Fernandez coming on for Paris G. G was one of those holding central midfielders, holding it down in the middle of the park, or at least trying to for the first 77 minutes, although part of a defensive unit that surrendered 4 goals to Phoenix tonight. But Colin Fernandez onto the scene here in the 77th. Again, Tulsa do need 3 points to clinch themselves. If Sacramento is able to get a draw or a win out of Orange County, they'll be able to clinch that way, but I'm sure they'd rather have it in their own hands than in the hands of another Western Conference foe.
And look, this game is not over. They have chances here. They can score 3 in, what, 18 minutes.
Can't put anything past these two teams tonight.
Exactly. It looks like with Sventensen coming in, Tier Young has moved out wide to the left. Sventensen is the number 9 in the middle, and Calistri pushing up a little bit. Looks like it's kind of morphed into a 4-3-3 for Tulsa.
Fernandez going out wide. Corrales back up for Fernandez. Tier Young. Tulsa looking for their second equalizer of the match. And again, there's a score update of Orange County and Sacramento. Sacramento with a draw or a win tonight can clinch their berth into the postseason. Certainly the most wonderful time of the year in the United Soccer League.
Oh yeah, for sure. Teams get desperate, they go all out. They're a lot more attack-minded because obviously they need the goals to win. So you get 4-3 score lines.
So you're saying you predicted this tonight?
No, if I had predicted this, I would have played the Arizona lottery. No. If I had those powers.
Tier Young back for Fernandez, ends up hitting the face of Bourgeois. Comes back out. Fernandez again. Fresh onto the scene here. Now it's along for Levin. Levin will have a go from long range. Caught Cohen off of his line for a brief moment. And it will be a goal kick.
Levin saw a little bit of space, saw an opening. Didn't miss by much. You got to like Fernandez. If you're a Tulsa fan, you got to like Fernandez. The energy he's brought to the team. He has been very strong, very active in that attacking third, getting the possession, moving players around to try to set up opportunities. So he's done very well in the short time that he's come in.
And it looks like it's going to be Alessandro Rigi coming on, as we're getting word that he is going to replace none other than Jason Johnson, who's had a terrific match. And now Blair Gavin cramping up a little bit here in the 80th minute. Certainly done a ton of running in the middle of the park. Professional soccer players run anywhere from about 6 to 9 miles during the course of a match, just sort of depending on the position. Obviously excluding the goalkeeper.
Man, I get tired running 6 to 9 feet to my mailbox. And they run 6 miles. Wow.
So you're running to your mailbox?
Yeah.
What do you got coming that you're sprinting to the mailbox for?
No, it's because there's a lot of mosquitoes, so I don't want to get bitten. So that's what it is. Although nowadays in regular mail, it seems like you just get a lot of, I don't want to say bad news, but just a lot of wasted paper. I don't get it, but.
So it looks like Sam Hamilton is going to join Alessandro Rigi as well. And Hamilton is somebody that Patrice Carteron has just been gushing about as of late, just in terms of his work rate. And Carteron saying that their analytics show that he's been running about a mile further than every single player on the Phoenix team on any given night. So he's probably running close to 10 miles during the course of a match, just covers an enormous amount of ground in that number 6 holding central midfielder role.
And now he's coming in for the last 10 minutes to disrupt the Tulsa midfield.
So Hamilton going to replace Blair Gavin, who's been cramping up in the past couple of minutes. Jason Johnson coming off as well, being replaced by Alessandro Rigi. And Jason Johnson has been absolutely terrific tonight. 2 spectacular goals. First one was an absolute blast by Cerda, and then the second one sort of defying the laws of physics almost.
Yeah. Able to squeeze that one through the legs of Fabian Cerda. Maybe he's put in a man of the match performance. He has 2, Drogba has 2. And remember, it was his run and then the squaring to Didier that set up the penalty for Drogba to finish. So he's been fabulous in this game, definitely man of the match worthy.
Attention Phoenix Rising fans, it's time to celebrate a rich tradition with the Dia de los Muertos Scratchers tickets from the Arizona Lottery. Play for a chance to win up to $10,000 instantly on 3 unique tickets designed by a local Arizona artist. Visit your favorite Arizona Lottery retailer to play. Rigi gets the return from Owako. Extremely well done from the Ghanaian. Rigi taken down from behind. And it will be a foul. Tulsa are absolutely livid with the referee. They need to be careful here. They might get a yellow card for dissent.
There's no need to yell at the referee. That's not going to help the situation. Just get back, organize your defense. And then when you do get the possession back, go forward and score. Yelling at the referee never helps anyone. So why waste your energy, especially 83rd minute, late in the game. That's when you need to be the most composed.
So about 30 yards out for Didier Drogba, but well within his range. He's already scored one from about 10 yards further this season. Here he is once more, but not the best effort from the Chelsea legend. And Phoenix will regroup.
Yeah, I'm sure he wanted to keep that shot down, but more than anything, did take some time off the clock here in these last few minutes of this match. And the lady doesn't get to keep the ball.
It's not baseball, George.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
These balls are expensive.
Oh, they are. Because I was going to say, she could keep it and tell her kids, hey, Didier Drogba hit this ball. He kicked it to me in the stands.
About 40 feet over the goal.
Yeah.
Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit nikesoccer.com. It's Van Tessen applying tons of pressure, upset that none of his teammates are joining in on the fun. Phoenix, on the other hand, enjoying a nice counterattack here. Amadou Dia. Dia going for goal, takes a deflection, and somehow Cerda able to keep it out.
Oh, that's a goalkeeper. You ask any goalkeeper, when it comes to keeping shots out, the number one thing is clear line of sight. They want to make sure that their line of sight is not distracted or impeded, or there's no one in the way. And there were about 2 or 3 players in the way there for Fabian Cerda, and he did a fantastic job of catching it late and keeping that ball out. Because if that ball goes in, that would basically be it for Tulsa's chances of winning this game. It's a great ball out wide to Dia, but Awako coming in, what he does, he draws another defender toward Cerda, and it's almost works out in his favor as Bourgeois gets in the way of Cerda. But Awako making the run, he's going to make the run and not get the ball. He has to stop sooner so that he doesn't kind of block the way of or impede the shot of his teammate Dia there. Brought in an extra defender by making that run and made it harder for Dia to score.
Corrales to the 86th minute. Jason Johnson's goal right now, his second goal, the game winner as it stands. And if Sacramento cannot get a result against Orange County, Tulsa will have to fight another day to clinch their first ever postseason berth.
And Tulsa deserves to be in the playoffs. The way they've played this game, the ability to finish, the ability to play, make, and run into space, and be clever in terms of finishing their chances and the timing of their runs to get into space and create goal-scoring opportunities. This is a playoff team, and it would be a shame if they don't make it. But the defense just letting them down today, that was the key. Anytime you score 3 goals, especially on the road, you should win. But defense costing them on a couple of occasions, well, 4 times actually, and that's proved to be the kiss of death for Tulsa in this match. But they still have a chance, obviously, to make the playoffs.
Again, there's the update on the Orange County-Sacramento match at Papa Murphy's at the moment. And another brief souvenir for a lucky fan. But again, you do have to give those back.
They should trade him like some boots or shin guards or something.
Drogba into the pass of Rigi. Rigi took extremely heavy second touch there.
Yeah, Rigi, I saw what Rigi was trying to do. He was bursting through.
Drogba through the first defender, sitting on a hat trick as it poked away right at the last second by Jonathan Levin.
And Rigi was bursting through, and he saw that there was some space to his left, so he tried to play the ball and himself into that left, try to swerving to the left into space. It might have been better served to just go straight, because the defender, that second defender, Bourgeois, had his hips turned away from him, his back facing them. If he just goes straight, he's going to have an opportunity to go one-on-one against Cerda and put the 3 points in the bag for Phoenix. But I understand what he was trying to do. He saw that there was some space to his left side, and the first touch on the pass was a little too heavy. The second touch heavy as well, and lost an opportunity to go on goal.
Well, Tulsa might have to wait another night to be able to clinch their spot, but a team who has clinched their first ever USL playoff berth is the Tampa Bay Rowdies with a 3-2 victory over the reigning USL Cup champions, the New York Red Bulls 2. So Stuart Campbell, Joe Cole, and the rest of the Tampa Bay Rowdies enjoying their first season in the United Soccer League, and will be heading to the playoffs.
New York Red Bulls, too, you just mentioned they're the champs. There's a possibility they could be out. Bethlehem is within striking distance. Harrisburg City as well. So could the defending champs be out? We shall see. That would be something, that would be a big news story if the defending champs fail to make the playoffs.
It's just a testament to how good this league has gotten in just a year's time.
Yeah. And you get the feeling that it's just going to get better. Better players, higher quality coaches coming into the league and implementing their philosophies, changing the mentality of how to play football, soccer in this league, in this country. USL is going to be the biggest beneficiary of it.
Awako towards the back post, hoping for Drogba, as they're trying to get the Chelsea legend his hat trick. Van Tessen trying to slot it through. There were fouls all over the park. The referee choosing to play on.
Yeah, Rigi is lucky because he pulled the jersey there, or his jersey, or no, he pulled the jersey, excuse me, of a Fernandez, and he was very lucky he didn't pick up a yellow card there.
Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information, especially heading down the stretch towards playoffs, as you can tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on SiriusXM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, SiriusXM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check uslsoccer.com for dates and times.
I'm talking about New York Red Bulls, and what's going to do them in if they don't make the playoffs has been their defense. Giving up the most goals in the Eastern Conference, and you give up all those goals, 53, plus the ones they gave up today. It's gonna look, it's tough.
They've lost a couple of defenders from their side last year that won the USL Cup, mainly Zach Carroll, who's with Orlando City B, who are right now occupying one of those 8 spots in the Eastern Conference playoffs. So this is a team that's sort of just trying to rebuild. Very young back line at the moment. They have plenty of attacking prowess in the form of Vincent Bezecourt as well as Junior Flemings, but they just have not been able to piece it together on the back line. And as you mentioned at the top of this broadcast, George, defending will win you games in this league, and not just in this league, but around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about playoffs as well. A team that's solid defensively, all they need is that one goal. If you're solid defensively and you get a goal, you have a chance to advance, to win, and go through to the playoffs. So
you don't even need a goal.
Yeah.
You do it in penalties.
With their penalties, yeah, absolutely. You get that clean sheet in regulation, and it goes to penalties, and you're good. So it's very important that the playoff teams are well organized and disciplined defensively, because that's what's going to keep them in the games.
5 minutes of stoppage time added on to the allotted 90. Last touch off of Watson will be a throw-in for Tulsa. Still plenty of time for the Roughnecks to be able to equalize this. The game we're going to some sort of imaginary script, you would probably assume that Tulsa would score in these next 3 minutes. Hamilton goes to ground and gets it right. And Rigi will go all the way back to former UC San Diego man Josh Cohen. Hasn't exactly had his best night, but not much he could do about the 3 Tulsa goals, but I'm sure he'll be happy with a win more than anything, as Phoenix continue to nip at the heels of San Antonio FC, trying to jostle for that 4th seed and have the first round of the Western Conference playoffs right here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, but they do need a little bit of help from Billy Forbes' side.
Tulsa in this second half, they've seen their opportunities go down. Phoenix has done a better job of tracking back. They've also had some more possession as well, so that certainly has helped shut down or slow down Tulsa in the attack. They've been able to, they've been better defensively. We'll see Calistri, the number 7, hasn't had many touches in the second half. We really haven't spoken too much about Calistri in the last 15-20 minutes. He was, by and large, the biggest influence in terms of Tulsa's attack, him and Kafa. And when he was denied service or denied the ball, Tulsa's attack pretty much slowed down to a complete halt. So they've done a good job of kind of denying Calistri the ball in the last 10-15 minutes. And that's been able to help Phoenix's defense tighten things up in the back. Calistri with not that many touches, Kafa with not that many touches in the last 10-15 minutes. It's worked out well for Phoenix in that respect.
Kimura. Tulsa still with time. At least 2 minutes. Bourgeois. Kimura once more. Good step from Sam Hamilton, able to win it back for Phoenix. Drogba, nifty skill to get out of trouble. Still Drogba. And he'll draw the foul. And back to your point, George, about just Phoenix able to tighten up defensively. Ever since the Jason Johnson goal, the veteran experience has set in for Phoenix. They've been able to manage the game. They've been able to keep the ball, put it out into space, put it towards the corner flag, and just see the game out. And that is just so many years of experience between Drogba, between Gladson Awako, between Pete Ramage. I mean, it's just been such a clean effort once they got that goal from Johnson.
Absolutely. They've also slowed the tempo down. Tulsa, they wanted to get out. They wanted to obviously counterattack, get those goals going.
Awako trying his efforts, maybe trying to do his best Jason Johnson impression from a tight angle.
For sure. Awako's had a big part to do with Phoenix maintaining possession in their attacking half, slowing the game down a little bit. If you slow the game down and you have a goal lead, that allows your defense to organize, shut things down. Ramage has done an excellent job in the second half with Mala, but Mala, very quiet game. When you don't say a central defender's name, center back's name too much, usually that means they've played pretty well. So, well done by Phoenix to tighten things up in the second half.
Could be one last chance here. Corrales towards the back post. Falls for Kimura. Jadama, they're asking for a handball, not gonna get it. And that's gonna do it. Full time from Phoenix. Or not yet. Still waiting for that final whistle. Kimura. Calistri in space. Taken down from behind. No call from the referee. A lot of Phoenix players right now pointing to an imaginary watch, and Svantesson and Didier Drogba are getting into it now. One last chance for Tulsa. Bent in. Cohen is there, punches it away. Kimura with the header. There's the shot from Fernandez. It takes a deflection, but it's offside. My goodness. Well, that would have been a picture-perfect end to the night for Tulsa, and really speaking towards the larger aspects of this game. But fortunate for Phoenix, it was offside.
Got to see who got that last touch onto it. You see, Svantesson was the player that they were trying to target on the corner. Oh, yeah. Looks like Calistri is the one that was offsides.
Now here is the final whistle from Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Patrice Carteron's side returned back home in emphatic fashion. Didier Drogba and Jason Johnson both with a brace on the evening, as Jason Johnson's miracle goal from the impossible angle proves to be the difference maker between the Roughnecks and Phoenix Rising FC. George D. Metellus, your thoughts?
Oh, it was a fantastic 90 minutes of USL soccer, and in the end, it's Jason Johnson that proved to get the game winner.
Final score, 4-3 in favor of Phoenix. We'll be back in just a moment with postgame.
Trolls.
Go, 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 go,
This is Contour from Cox. Cable TV reimagined to get you right to the good stuff.
La familia Heineken ha dejado un legado especial, una receta original con solo 3 ingredientes y todos naturales. Yo también tengo un don especial. La habilidad de llorar cuando se necesite. Bonita, ¿eh? Solo 3 ingredientes naturales. There's more behind a star.
Phoenix Rising Football Club está luchando por los playoffs, con más goles, más victorias y menos goles encajados en la historia del club. No te pierdas los últimos partidos de esta histórica temporada. Obtén boletos antes que se agoten. Sábado 7 de octubre contra Rio Grande Valley Football Club. Jóvenes jugadores reciben un póster de Drogba gratis. Phoenix Rising Football Club. Nuestro equipo se levanta hacia las finales.
Full time here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, and all smiles for that man and everybody around here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, as it was a terrific night of football. As always, Jose Bosch on the scene. Didier Drogba with a brace, Jason Johnson with a brace, but certainly didn't come easy for Phoenix. They started out the night a little flat, and Tulsa certainly took advantage.
Yeah, down the right side, Calistri was very influential, setting up Joaquin Rivas for the first goal, and certainly was a shock to the crowd at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. And then this was the goal of the match. This is a just fabulous technique, brilliant goal by Juan Pablo Caffa. And at this point, Tulsa up 2-0. And they were looking like they were going to pick up the 3 points. Phoenix had no answers, but they responded very quickly. And Amadou Dia was in the mix for it.
Jadama might have gotten the final touch to this one as we take another look, but Didier Drogba will claim it. It does go down as an official Didier Drogba goal, and then moments after that, Phoenix would level.
Yeah, down the left side, that's been in the first half especially, down the left side of the Phoenix attack, the right side of the Tulsa defense, they were able to generate chances. And on a quick counter, Amadou Dia drawing the foul. Drogba finishes strong. Very casual penalty there.
And then Tulsa would equalize here. Great little setback there from Calistri, would make it 3-3. Drogba's effort denied by Fabian Cerda. And this was, I guess, a contender for goal of the match.
Yeah.
Not sure how this got through.
Yeah, how did Johnson get through the 3 defenders? And then how did this ball go through the legs of Fabian Cerda? It was the game winner. Jason Johnson is supremely confident right now. And it was a fantastic performance for Phoenix. And then they tightened up defensively in the second half. And that also was key in helping them get the 3 points.
Jason Johnson now with 12 goals on the season. Cerda would make a huge save here to keep that one out and really prevent it from being lights out before Tulsa could have a chance to equalize, as those would do it for the best moments of the 90 minutes. Here are the final stats. And again, Phoenix just more than willing to surrender that much possession, but they're able to take advantage of what opportunities they have.
Yeah, when you can score 4 goals on 8 shots, 38% possession is not so bad. And they were able to get that late game winner there, taking advantage of mistakes in the back. But second half, they really did tighten things up. And even though Tulsa had the majority of the possession, they shut them down. Not many shots on target for Tulsa in that second half, and they were able to pick up the 3 points. Disappointing for Tulsa, because if they had won the game, they would be into the playoffs, but they just have to wait another week for what I believe will be an eventuality, a formality for Tulsa. But you look at the stats, and 62% possession, and they were able to get 18 shots on the road. That's a positive sign for Tulsa going forward, but more positive for Phoenix. They were able to pick up the victory.
Tulsa needed 3 points to ensure a playoff berth. It would be their first ever in franchise history after a couple of disappointing seasons in their first 2 years of existence. But Tulsa will have matches against Seattle Sounders 2 and Colorado Springs Switchbacks to try to get their first ever postseason berth. On the other hand, for Phoenix, they still continue to try to jostle for position with San Antonio FC for that 4th spot. It seems like that's who they're going to be playing in the first round. It's just a matter of whether it's at Toyota Stadium or perhaps the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. But it is all smiles here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex as they see 7 goals distributed in favor of their home side. Didier Drogba with a brace, Jason Johnson with a brace, and Jose Bosch right now is field side with none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Didier Drogba.
3, 2, 1. Hey guys, we're back here with Didier Drogba making his debut game since his injury and scoring 2 goals tonight and getting the 3 points. How important was it for you guys to come back after going down so quick 2-0?
Yeah, it's good for me to be back playing and pain-free, which is fantastic. And yeah, it was important for me to play today and get back on the score sheet.
How difficult was it watching the team being so successful and not being able to be out there and enjoy it?
It wasn't difficult at all. It was perfect. It was amazing, you know, to see the way they play. The boys played really, really well. And if you're in this position, it's because of their dedication, their hard work. So I was enjoying, in fact.
And how much are you having fun being back here in front of the home crowd?
No, it's good to be back home, you know, and you see our fans, you know, they always turn up, and we're lucky to have them with us and to have their support.
All right, thank you very much, Didier. Didier Drogba, 2 goals today. Jason Johnson, 2 goals. Team wins 4-3. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Jose. Great interview there with Didier Drogba, as again he mentioned just playing pain-free, and I guess that's the most important thing for a man who's 39 years young, is just trying to keep him healthy heading into the postseason, because he just does make such a huge difference.
And in his first game back, he goes the entire 90 minutes, and as he mentioned, pain-free. That's very important for Phoenix. I don't think he'll play 90 in the next game against Rio Grande Valley, but he is getting himself in shape and his mind right for the playoff run.
Phoenix Rising FC's next match against RGV, October 7th, right here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for Didier Drogba and his crew, as they will take on Jose Escalante and the rest of the Toros. As that's going to do it for us here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. It was a stupendous night of football. Goals, saves, and questionable goals all alike. Didier Drogba with the brace, Jason Johnson with the brace, and another 3 points for Phoenix, currently sitting 5th in the Western Conference at the moment. For my broadcast partner, George D. Metellus, I'm Tyler Terrence, saying so long for now. The final score from Phoenix, Phoenix Rising 4, Tulsa 3. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll talk to you soon.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.